In Search of the Stanza Stones, Part 2. In Part 1 we followed our small group of intrepid explorers on their search of the first 3 stones. The Stanza Stones is an imaginative collaboration between Simon Armitage, a poet from Marsden, and the organisers of the Ilkley Literature Festival of 2012. The project saw Armitage write a set of poems about various forms of water. These were inspired by the language and landscape of the Pennine watershed. The poems were then carved into stone across the upland by stone artist Pip Hall. These now form a permanent poetry trail from Armitage's hometown of Marsden to the festival's base in Ilkley, a distance of 47 miles. In Part 1 we visited snow, rain and mist. This time we visit the final 3 stanzas and also stumble across the mystery site mentioned in Part 1. The search for the last 3 stanzas started in a quiet lay-by on the road above Keighley. Climbing over a stile we saw a radio mast in the distance and headed towards the mast. And then we turned east and headed for a lone tree by a wall. Here we found the Dew Stone. Dew. The tense standoff of summer's end, the touchy fuse wire of parched grass, tapers of bulrush and reed, any tree a primed mortar of tinder, one spark enough to trigger a march on the moor by ranks of flame. Dew enters the field under cover of night, tending the weary and sapped, lifting its symbol of drink to the lips of a leaf, to the stoat's tongue, trimming a length of barbed wire fence with liquid gems. Here where bog cotton flags its surrender or carries its torch for the rain, then dawn when sunrise plants its fire star in each drop and ignites each trembling eye. As this was only a short walk, we headed for the hills to extend the walk and to plan for the next one, on which we intended to visit the last 2 stanza stones. The following month we headed for Ilkley. On arrival in the town we found it happened to be the week of the Literature Festival, a fitting time to find the last 2 stones. Once again we headed for the hills, this time in search of the Puddle Stone. After following a stone-flagged footpath for about 1.5 miles, we discovered the stanza by the side of the path. Puddle, rain junk, sky litter. Some May morning's Atlantic storm horses clatter this way, shedding their iron shoes in potholes and ruts, shoes that melt into the steel grey puddles, then settle and set into cloudless mirrors by noon. The shy deer of the daytime moon comes to sip from the rim, but the sun likes the look of itself, stares all afternoon, its hard eye lifting the sheen from the glass, turning the glaze to rust. Then we don't see things for dust. We continued along the path until we reached a Bronze Age stone circle, the Apostle Stones. Here we turned left and headed downhill back towards Ilkley. The path zigzagged through bracken. On the route down we stumbled across the mystery site, the Welcoming Poets' Seat. The seat had been converted from an old shooting butt. In a wall was a post box, but one with a difference. This was designed to receive poems from passing walkers, and by turning a handle they in turn would receive a poem that had been written and deposited by a previous passing traveller. Having rested and posted poems in the box, we continued downhill, and as we reached a small gully we realised that the final stanza lay upstream, carved on a large boulder. We had found Beck. Beck. It is all one chase. Trace it back, the source might be nothing more than a teardrop squeezed from a curlew's eye. Then follow it down to the full-throated roar at its mouth, where a dipper strolls the riverbed, dressed for dinner in a white bib. The unbroken thread of the beck, with its nose for the sea, all flux and flex, soft-soaping a pebble for over 1,000 years, or here, after hard rain, sawing the hillside in half with its chain, Or here, where water unbinds and hangs over the waterfall's face, and just for that one stretched white moment becomes lace. This was the final stanza on the trail. We had now bagged all 6 locations and headed down into Ilkley to celebrate. Unlike those that complete the Pennine Way and get a free pint at the end from Wainwright, we ended up in a local cafe with a nice cup of tea and a slice of Yorkshire curd tart.